my fellow Americans. We are living in a time under a blanket of fear and division. It is a weight that has settled over us because we have been poisoned, and as a result, it causes us to shame ourselves, our history, our country, and those who came before. We have been forced to swallow this until we can no longer see the good that we once did. There was a time when we could say that we had done more good than bad, but we can't say that anymore. Not while we're living under this cloud of darkness, the shadow of hatred that we have all been forced to endure. In 1790, George Washington wrote about the Great Experiment, that this new government was the last and great experiment for promoting human happiness. He made it clear that this was a vision that was never meant to end, and it was never meant to fail. We are walking away from a job that hasn't been finished, and it never will be, but we must continue to move forward. This isn't just about one man. It's about the path that has been laid down before us by those with the conviction of figures such as John F. Kennedy, Dr. Martin Luther King, Barbara Jordan, and Rosa Parks. But we have become a society of anti-civility, for we have traded in the American promise for a cheap thrill of a like or a thumbs up on a screen. We are witnessing this level of insecurity and immaturity that is beneath us, and driven by the narcissistic words of one man who values his ego over the stability of a nation. Malcolm X warned us about this kind of manipulation when he said, if you are not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Never have those words rung truer than they do today. We are being told who to hate, so we don't see who is actually doing the hurting. Jimmy Carter said, a nation that is strong can afford to be gentle, firm, thoughtful, and restrained. It can afford to extend a helping hand to others. It is only a weak nation that must behave with bluster and boasting and rashness and other signs of insecurity. We have been trapped under this cloud of hate for so long that we have forgotten what it is to look up. When the storm finally breaks and the rainbow appears in the sky, it is supposed to be a promise of peace and hope, a sign that the storm has stopped and passed, and the reminder of the beauty that belongs to the entire country. But we become so twisted that we started to attack the light itself. We see those colors, and instead of having a promise that brings us happiness, people choose to see it as a target. How did we get to a place where we are fighting against the very wonder that comes after a gale? We should not live in a nation where we are afraid to send our children to school or to a movie theater only to wonder if they will ever come home. But it is more than that. We cannot live in a nation where we put so much pressure on our youth, where the evil and despair we have all been living under has forced our children to think that the only way out is to no longer be here. We have lost so many because they believed that the best way to end their suffering was not to seek help, but to seek death. I know what it's like to have the world ripped out from under you. Twice in my life, my children were kidnapped. And it was the most devastating time of my life. And trust me, you do not want to know what that feels like. And for those who have lost children, I can only feel your pain for one brief moment, but I cannot imagine what your life is like. And for that, my heart goes out to you. Why did we decide to abandon the way forward and choose to go backwards simply because the arrogant words of one man? Robert F. Kennedy begged us to tame the savages of man and make gentle the life of this world. Those trailblazers gave us the words and actions over the years to build this country, to keep the soul of the experiment alive. They gave us the blueprints, but somewhere along the way, we traded those blueprints in for crypto coins and jets. We have forgotten the weight of the struggle it took to give us the ground for which we stand on now. I'm talking about people like John Lewis, who walked across the bridge in Selma with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and they were not alone. They were joined by others, both black and white, who went through everything imaginable just to get us to where we are supposed to be, not where we are now. People like James Reeb and Viola Liuzzo, who stood beside them and gave their lives for the cause that wasn't just about one race. It was about the soul of this country. I miss John Lewis. I really do. He always told us to get into good trouble, necessary trouble. And we must remember the words of Barbara Jordan, who reminded us, what the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. They fought to give us the Civil Rights Act, not just for one group, but for people like you and for someone like me. Don't let my appearance fool you. We are a mix of cultures in Puerto Rico, from the Taino roots to everything that came after, and we don't all fit in the neat little boxes that you want to put us in. This fabric of protection belongs to all of us, no matter what color you are. And yet, we sit back and watch one man who is trying to tear it apart. You talk about the Confederate flag being part of your heritage, but what about the flags that came after and the people that came before us? We didn't have 50 stars when we hit the beaches in Normandy, but those 4,414 men died for what that flag represented. They established a trail for us to follow, and we are erasing the memory of their sacrifice. We may not have created the way forward, but we are beginning to destroy the essence of the legacy they left behind. We used to be a nation to welcome people, not turn them away. People came here for the American dream. We used to remember the words of Emma Lazarus from the New Colossus that are etched into the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. People used to see that as they came into this nation. Now, we send them back where they are fearful. So many have lost faith that the promise of a better life still exists. But there is a dream left, that it is not an imagination or a fairy tale. That is an American dream. Whether you are a farmer in the fields, a teacher in the classroom, or a worker on the line, all we have to do is get there together. You have the freedom to say what you want. You have the fundamental First Amendment right to protest. It has been our right for 250 years. We are watching someone strip away the protections that people of every background, from the Bridge of Selma to the murder of our own citizens on the street of Minneapolis, have bled for. Dr. Martin Luther King knew that this descending spirit of humiliation and hatred destroys community and makes brotherhood impossible. He said in 1967, a time comes when silence is betrayal. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. knew that descending spiral of humiliation and hatred destroys community and makes brotherhood impossible. He said in 1967, "A time comes when silence is betrayal." I'm not giving this speech because I believe I am better than any of you, because I am not. Every human being is flawed. No one who walks this earth is perfect, no matter how many times they say that they are. We have all made mistakes, but as a child, I was taught that we must face the wrongs that we have done, not to make penance to a God, but to ourselves. Those that refuse to recognize their faults were never meant to lead. So now I will pose a choice to you. Which path will you continue to follow? Will you continue to follow the path to the United States, or will you continue to follow the path to the divided states? And no one knows the weight of that choice more than those who swear to protect it. To the brave men and women of our military today, the time has come to remember the honor and integrity and incredible sacrifice of Captain John Maverick McCain, who, as a prisoner of war for 5.5 years, he suffered horrible pain and torture. When he was given multiple opportunities to come home, he refused. He believed in this country, and he believed in the oath he took to the Constitution. He believed in the military's official code of conduct, specifically Article 3, which forbids a soldier from accepting special favors or parole from the enemy. He honored the unwritten rule of the PLWs, first in, first out. It meant he refused to cut the line. He refused to go home until every brother who had been captured before him was freed first. And that choice cost him 4 more years of freedom. Even in the Senate, because of all the years of having his arms broken, he could not lift his arms high enough to brush his own hair. He had to have someone carry a brush in a bag for him just so he could be presentable to serve the people. He carried the cost of that freedom in his bones until the day he died. Let me tell you, you are not suckers and losers. You are the very foundation for which we continue to walk this trail, and we need you now more than ever. You don't serve one man. You serve the continuing spirit of the great experiment that this United States was born from the Constitution as those whose footsteps from the past that you now walk. However, there is another way. To form a more perfect union, we the people can begin to rebuild the country we once loved. Not with violence, but with common purpose. It will not be a place where solutions are found in 30 minutes like in a television show or 2 hours like in a movie. Life moves at the pace that it moves, slow and fast. And maybe it is not the way we want to go, but is the way that we can get there together. Former President Barack Obama reminded us that Americans who toiled and bled saw America as a bigger than the sum of the individual ambitions, greater than the differences of birth or wealth or faction. So let me ask you, will you be one of those people who will help rebuild this perfect imperfection of peace?